I want to welcome everybody for coming to the first of what hopefully will be hopefully this will be the first annual Naropa Sukkah celebration. And so I thank you in advance for being here to make this occasion possible. For those of you who don't know me yet, who I haven't met, I'm Rabbi Miles Krassen. I'm teaching in the religion department at Naropa and involved in the creation of a contemplative Judaism program at Naropa, which will be hopefully a unique program in the world. And the first program sponsored by the religion department that will expand beyond the offerings and programs in Buddhism that we currently have. So it's a very big honor to be here. I want to welcome you first of all to a day that is auspicious. So I think let me just say a word or two about this day that we're here. We'll talk more about it and we'll have some celebration and some ritual hopefully in not too long once Reb Zalman gets here.
He's here.
Oh, he is here? Good. And in the meantime, let me welcome you particularly to the day that we're in a day here which is considered to be especially auspicious, and it is the 20th of the month of Tishrei. According to the Jewish calendar, Tishrei being a month that is called the Yerach Etanim, that it is a month that consists of powerful days, the month of power. That this is a month that's called the month of power because during this month there is an entire season of special occasions, special celebrations that set the stage for all that we need for the entire year. And in the course of this month, we have especially this holiday of Sukkot, and which is a 7-day festival, and then followed by a special 8th day. And in each of these days, there's a particular energy that comes down, and we have actually the opportunity to align ourselves with all of the sacred qualities that characterize the way that the Almighty shines into this world, that is present in this world. And this day of all days is the 4th intermediate day of Sukkot, and that means it's the 6th day of the celebration. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the terminology that's used in Jewish mysticism to deal and name the specific qualities of manifestation, we're dealing with the 6th of the 7. So it's not an accident there's 7 days to this celebration. It's because each one of those days is a day in which we celebrate with a representative from our ancestral tradition that embodied a certain quality of those 7 divine qualities of manifestation. So today we're here in alignment with the 6th quality, and that quality is called Yesod in Hebrew. And of course it's very appropriate that we should be meeting on this particular day for a number of reasons. One being that the reason we have the opportunity to be here at all at Naropa on this day and at this time, and to have the opportunity to bring into existence a contemplative Judaism program at Naropa, is because, first of all, some years ago, Naropa brought in Rabbi Zalman Schachter-Shalomi to really introduce Judaism to this campus. And that could not have happened had it not been for the very generous and gracious support and aid that was given by the Yesod Foundation. So the very, you could say, impetus and support for everything that is occurring here has to do with with an event that occurred about 10 or so years ago, and which was sponsored by a group that took the very name of the quality that is in manifestation today, the quality of Yesod. So on the one hand, we're celebrating particularly on this day because Yesod, which itself means support or foundation, and is also the quality that brings all of the other specific qualities together, is, according to Hasidic tradition, not only the sixth of the divine qualities of manifestation, but particularly the quality that is associated with the Rebbe. And that is because we have a verse that says Tzaddik Yesod Olam, that the Tzaddik, the person, there is a possibility to unite above and below, to be in a place, a particular quality that is not just the manifestation of something specific, but which has the capacity to bring together all the diverse types of qualities that make up the totality of manifestation itself. So what you should do in order to get yourself into the energy of what we're going to do today, the kavanah means the intention, the meditation, what one focuses on inside in order to be aligned with the specific energy of what is going on, is the kavanah of the sphera of Yesod. And that is the place in which all the disparate energies that make up the totality are harmonized into a whole and brought together in a way that can become very potent. So we're not at the seventh day yet. We don't have the whole thing put together. We're not yet at the point where the fruit will be born from the practice, but we're at precisely that point which joins above and below. And that's a moment that we're going to be dealing with today. So the first thing we'd like to ask you to do is just to put yourself in that place, just to feel yourself in the place where everything is coming together. And I want to say everything good is coming together. Let's say one other thing about this specific day. The sixth day follows obviously the fifth day, but the fifth day is associated with the guest who represents the quality of Hod, and that is Aaron the high priest. And so just share with you one little association so you get a sense of how we're moving into this moment and what it involves. Now, Aaron the high priest was one of the three holy family, Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, the prophetess, who were such powerful channelers and connectors of above and below that they manifested in the world itself three very special treasures that the Israelites had when they were in the wilderness. The wilderness meaning that experience, that journey that all people have when they start to be attracted to the hidden, to that which is deep, that which is beyond, and that which ultimately gives meaning to all life. And so in our story, in our sacred story, there were three particular figures, all from one family, two brothers and a sister. So we had Moses, Aaron, and Miriam, and each one of them brought into the world through their special ability to manifest and be connected to the deep and the true, something special. So in the case of Aaron the high priest, what did he bring in? He brought in the clouds of glory. It was associated with the clouds of glory, meaning that the whole time that the Israelites were in the journey in the wilderness, meaning in a place of insecurity, of uncertainty, of impermanence, of instability, and of great dangers, there was something that was sheltering them throughout that journey. And it was precisely these clouds. That there were clouds that hovered above them, that were protecting them on the one hand, and also were connecting them and revealing to them in a certain very symbolic way the fact that there was something beyond experience that was there protecting everyone, that hovers over us. And it's said in our tradition, in the merit of Aaron the priest, who brought the clouds of glory into the midbar, into the wilderness, we're able to manifest that quality today through the covering of the sukkah. So that when you're sitting in the sukkah is called the tsal mehemnuta by the Zohar, the shadow of faith, because it itself connects us to the experience of the power of Aaron when he was able to manifest these clouds of glory. Now it says the Zohar says, the Zohar, which is the great work of esoteric Judaism, basically explains the inner meaning of all the exoteric practices. And so in the Zohar it says that they figure out that of course there's 7 clouds. Because the clouds, each one of the clouds is an expression of one of those 7 divine qualities of manifestation, of which we're today aligning ourselves with the 6th, and Aaron the priest represents the 5th. So the Zohar says something very surprising if you're familiar with the association of Aaron with the quality of the 5th day. The Zohar says that Aaron the high priest was Reisha Da'ananim, that he was the first of the clouds. But if the clouds are representing the 7 Sfirot, then why shouldn't he be the 5th of the clouds? And the meaning is, why is he called the first of the clouds? Because the specific quality that Aaron had was that he was able to connect the first of the Sfirot, the first of the divine qualities, to all of the other ones. And the first of the divine qualities is called, in Hebrew, the quality of chesed, which means the quality of unconditional divine love. The basic quality of the entire basis for manifestation, according to the esoteric tradition, is the flow of chesed or rachamim, the flow of divine love. And so the Zohar is saying that the great power that Aaron the priest had is that he was able to bring chesed into all of the other qualities. And so that's what sets us up for the 6th day. That we're following the 5th day when we had the opportunity to align ourselves with the energy of Aaron the high priest, and that's where we learn this absolutely essential teaching that it's true that one can speak of 7 divine qualities. You can talk about a number of aspects that make up the totality of the divine display. But it really doesn't hold together unless you draw that quality of divine love into each and every one of these qualities. And so Aaron the high priest prepares us for the mystery of aligning ourselves with the sphere of Yesod, which is the place where all of the 5 qualities that preceded become brought together, imbued with the quality of love, and brought together into the energy of the tzaddik who represents today. So that's just a little preliminary to set the stage for where we are. And I want to, before we go into the actual direct teaching and the ceremony that we're going to have led and taught to us by Reb Zalman, I want to introduce a couple of people who are very important for everybody to know and recognize today. First of all, I want to introduce Netanel, who will have a few words for us. Who is what's the official title?
Director.
The director of the Reb Zalman Legacy Project.
It's almost a shame to say anything mundane after that. I just want to say a little bit about what the Reb Zalman Legacy Project is. Because what we're doing here today is a product of a partnership between the Reb Zalman Legacy Project and Naropa University. It's an attempt to create a community. And Sukkot is the perfect holiday for that, because Sukkot is the holiday when the nations are blessed. And so it's a unique opportunity for Jews to share something intimate and personal about their spiritual experience with the greater community. And so we're hoping to do this every year, as Reb Miles said. And I want to say just a little bit about the Reb Zalman Legacy Project. It was started around Reb Zalman leaving his collected works, if you will, his archive of teachings to Naropa to be a resource to students in the future. And hopefully a resource for a contemplative Judaism master's program, but also to form the basis of something greater, something where we can begin to preserve, develop, and disseminate the legacy of Reb Zalman here in town. And so this is one of our overtures to that. So if you get something good from this today, following on the quality of Yesod that we're in today, which is the quality of efficacy of making it happen. If something happens for you today, please leave a little donation at the back so that we can further the legacy and continue the work. So thank you.
I want to introduce Amy, who is so new that I haven't quite gotten her last name down, but we are all going to learn that in just a second. But Amy is doing something very, very important on campus here at Naropa that I think is going to be absolutely essential and a big support to the Contemplative Judaism program. So.
My name is Amy Kopken, and I'm the Associate Director of Admissions for Naropa, and I just started about 2 months ago. And one of the things that I was sort of surprised to learn was there wasn't a Jewish student, faculty, staff, organization, or at least body of people on campus that was doing anything sort of formally with all-encompassing everyone. So right now I've kind of started a somewhat organic group. We're calling it's part of the action groups that were formed through the university, and we're just kind of trying to figure out what people are interested in, whether it's informal gatherings to celebrate holidays or Shabbat, or whether it's to be a resource for Judaism for Israel on campus. I really don't have any sort of goals for the project. There's a few people that I see here that are already kind of starting with me to figure out what we want to do and how we want it to look. So at this point, Jewish students, Jewish faculty, Jewish staff, people that aren't Jewish and want to learn about Judaism, people in the process of converting, wherever anyone is in their spiritual journey, just having a container, if you will, to hold people and to have a resource that we can all kind of get together in kind of a clearinghouse for information. So I've started a listserv. It's really, really small so far, of about 10 people. And if you're interested in getting on that list and then helping form whatever this could become, I'm kind of spearheading it right now, but other than that, there's really sort of no organizational form to it quite yet. But I'm really excited about the gathering here, and I'm really excited about the number of people that this could grow into. So please come find me at the end, and I'll go ahead and get your email and get you on the listserv if you're interested, and we'll kind of have conversations. I've been traveling for the university recruiting students, so I'll be back in the next couple of weeks and really kind of getting this thing started, because I've sort of taken a little bit of break from it as I've been in a different state and a different city pretty much every week. So thank you so much, and definitely come find me and introduce yourself.
Yay, Amy.
Sure.
I would like to introduce now, we're very fortunate to have with us a representative of the Yesod Foundation, David Friedman, and I would like you all to meet him.
There isn't much to say except what a blessing to all be here today on this outrageous Sukkot day. I mean, this is as good as it gets. We're all blessed to be in Boulder and to be with Reb Zalman and Reb Miles and Eve. It's a blessing. So as a representative and one of the co-founders of the Yesod Foundation, just grateful that we can all share this holy space together. Thank you.
There's nothing really better, there's no better way, and I think to get people together, to enter into a common intention, which is what we're aspiring to do here, which I tried to sort of set the table for a moment before, but there's no better way than to really energize ourselves in that common direction than through the power of the nigun, through the power of music. And so I'm going to invite Shirly Pugatzky to lead us in a song. Shirly is one of the greatest devotional singers that I've ever heard, and I understand that she doesn't feel that her voice is at its peak level today, but nevertheless she couldn't resist being with us, and she has agreed to come and sing for us. So I'd like to welcome Shirly.
There's one thing I want to say before I start. I was thinking today about the fact that so many people from so many countries all over the world are meeting and gathering and want to connect. And people know melodies from so many different varieties of cultures. And I was today at a church for the first time in my life. And there was one song that I really liked over there. But I think that when we know a song together, when we share a song together, we feel together, we feel one. There is no borders between us anymore. And the songs that I bring are songs from Israel. And sometimes people doesn't know the songs that I'm singing. So I picked very short sentences in Hebrew this time, and I didn't have time to pass around something so you can read, but please try to not leave me alone here and sing by myself, and really try to get at least the melody, if not the words. And Reb Miles asked me to sing V'samachta b'chagecha, but I'm thinking now that if we're talking about the tzaddik, here they are, and the righteous person, and so maybe we will sing Tzaddik Hatamar Ifrach, and we will recognize the quality of the tzaddik. So the sentence says, Tzaddik Hatamar Ifrach, the righteous person will flourish as the palm tree. Ka'erez balvanon isge, and the cedar woods in the Lebanon, which the temple was built from, he will just become tall. Yeah. So please join me with that. Tzadik Hatamar Ifrach, Ifrach, Tzadik Hatamar Ifrach, Tzadik Hatamar Ifrach, Ifrach, Tzadik Hatamar Ifrach, Ka'erez balvanon yizge, 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 Ka'erez balvanon.
Reshut.
Ready.
There's a verse in the book of Psalms that says, Achor v'kedem saratani, that you surround me both behind me and in front of me. You completely surround me. And that verse itself is a very good verse for the festival of Sukkot, because Sukkot is precisely the time where we enter into, right here on the earth, right here where we are, we enter into that one which in the Jewish tradition is called Makomo Shel Olam, the place of the world. This means we realize that right here in this world, that we are already within that shelter of divine manifestation. In that verse also it seems to say, but there's two aspects of this sheltering. You're surrounding me from before, from in front, and from behind. So I want to just look into that verse a little bit, and I'm going to try to start on what I would call a certain cosmic level, and then we will bring it down, which is really the practice and the focus of this holiday. And for bringing it down, we'll rely on Reb Zalman. But first of all, I'm going to try to lift us up a little bit, because what's implied in the verse is that really manifestation is not static, as we all know from experience, but really it can be likened to a dance. And we have a verse, there's another verse in fact that points to it, V'tismach ha-betula b'mechol. B'mechol, and that means in Hebrew, this is an interesting verse, the pure one, literally the maiden in Hebrew, will, at the end of time, will ultimately rejoice. Sukkot being the time that's called Zman Simchatena, the time of our rejoicing, of the greatest joy. And the verse says there will be ultimately a time when the pure one will be rejoicing in a machol. Now this word machol is the key word in the verse, because it has two possible meanings in Hebrew, and one is from the root mechila, which means pardoning and forgiving and accepting. And on the other hand, it also means dance. So that's the implication, that there's a time that the ultimate joy comes in the moment of the mechila, or the pardoning, that leads to the recognition of the quality of the life and manifestation itself as a dance. The big dance, we talk about the big dance. And what is the dance? The dance is also symbolized in this verse, which says Achor v'kedem, that both on one side of me and on the other side of me, you're surrounding me. And the meaning is that basically, if life is a dance, what is the dance from the spiritual perspective? It's a perspective of, you could say, aspiration on the one hand. On the one hand, we have something inside ourselves that at some fortunate point in our lives begins to awaken, and then it begins to seek. It begins to have a sense that there is something really, really important and deep that we may not have direct access to most of the time, but we begin to get this intuition or this intimation that there is something very, very precious, very real, very profound, and something in us begins to feel the stirring of love for that quality. And so this process of kind of spiritual loving begins to take place. And on the other hand, what we find is generally that from that moment you could say we're on the spiritual path. And when you're on the spiritual path, it's a kind of a dance in which sometimes we're approaching that which is beginning to reveal itself to us, and sometimes we feel that we're not, that we're going in the other direction. And so the spiritual goal really is to bring those two together. And that's what makes it the joy, the dance of rejoicing. So what are the two, you could say the two aspects of practice, or the two aspects of experience itself, are basically what we call, it's referred to in Jewish tradition often by the qualities of ritzo v'shov. That means running to the one, running to that one that is really the object of the deepest love, that which we love, which we really love, and then returning from it, finding ourselves falling away from it, which sets up a condition that requires us really, if we're ever going to become integrated, and that if we can't become integrated, how can we realize this great joy that is promised us? So in order to achieve that integration, we have to somehow perform some kind of miracle of transformation, whereby not that we'll only be running, not that we'll only be running to something that seems distant from us and that draws us and that creates the sense of aspiration, but even when, having found a way to be absorbed in that one, we nevertheless find ourselves coming back from that quality, we retain a connection with it. And so that gradually we'll be able to, transformation means when we can take the returning and we can reveal what we discovered in the running to that one as present also, no matter where we are when we come back. And to put that in simple words, it means when we're right here embodied and present on the earth, which we might consider to be a world of tremendous difficulty and tremendous trouble, we have this spiritual obligation really to transform it in such a way that it becomes itself a replica of the Sukkah, something that shows us that even here on the earth we have these clouds of glory. There's something that is surrounding us, something that is protecting us, something that is always present, something that whether I go high, whether I go low, I'm always really in touch with. The one thing I mentioned before, that in order to achieve that, I think that the key element is really the element of chesed, or divine love. Meaning it's, how would we perform the transformation? And this is the connection between the pun in Hebrew of the machol, which is on the one hand it means a dance. The dance means that I don't see a disconnection between the ritzo and the shov. I see it as an intrinsic, an integral process, so that whichever way I'm going, they had in the mind, you know, when they talked about the machol, this kind of dance, I'm not sure if we're dancing that way anymore in the contemporary dances, but I must confess I don't really go to the dance whole scene, so I don't really know what's there. But in my day, I used to go to a lot of square dances, and I used to see in a square dance that they had like this thing, dozy-do. I don't know if anybody knows a square dance, but you know, you come to your partner and then you dance back, so you're coming in and you're going back, and that's what they had in mind when they said life becomes a dance. But the idea is, again, if life is a dance, it means it's always a dance. It's one dance. It's a dance that has dynamics, but you're never outside of the dance. So that's really the goal, to always be dancing. When you're dancing towards your partner, or you're dancing away, you're dancing towards your partner in order to go back, and you go back in order to go forward. And you recognize that this is the way that the energy works. So either way, whichever direction you're going in, it's all part of the same dance. And the key to making it a dance is the ability to bring down what are called in the kabbalistic tradition chasadim. Chasadim means the elements, the energy of the various expressions of love. The very energy that Aaron, the high priest, brought down yesterday for us in the mystery of the fifth day of this celebration. And the mystery of that love, the idea to be able to bring down Chasadim, that's the quality of Mechila. Meaning that somehow we have to find a way to overcome the stones in the heart that cause us to experience life not as a dance, but as something mournful or something painful. This is something that is blocking the energy of these Chasadim. Now, I want to say just a few words, more words quickly, just to give the background that this whole idea of dancing, that you're going forward, you're coming back, you go forward to come back, and you go back to go forward, is itself replicated, it's expressed in the energy of the Yerech Tanim itself, the month of power days and of powerful auspicious celebrations that we do from the beginning of this month, that the dynamic of that month itself has that quality, so that you begin the month with what is called Rosh Hashanah. And the way you begin is always by recognizing that you're distant from something. You're distant from the one that you truly love. That's always the first step, that you feel, there's something I ought to be, or something that I want to be, something that I really wish for and long for. If I'm feeling that, then that means I have a sense of separation from it. And that's the first step, which is really the kavanah, or the intention of the beginning of the month, which begins with the New Year's holiday, the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, and then we have this 10-day process of kind of working through that, pulling in the rope of that longing, until finally in 10 days we reach the point on Yom Kippur where we go right to that one that we discovered ourselves distant from. So that's the way the dance is beginning to work. It's just like in that square dance, you start out, one's on one side, one's on the other side, and then you have to, you're in the dance and you dance your way in, you get to the middle, and in the middle you meet the one you were seeking. And that's itself the quality of Mechila. You overcome whatever it is separating, the quality of pardoning, whatever the separation was, and you discover the reason that this pardoning, that this forgiveness is really possible, is because the discovery is that there's no difference, there's no real separation, that really everything is part of the one. And when you see that everything is part of the one, there's nothing to separate you from somebody else. And there's really no good reason to withhold any kind of forgiveness, because you're beginning to get that sense it's all a dance. But so you're pulled in on Yom Kippur, you get to that, you get to the discovery, you get to the ascent mode, so to speak, where you discover that one is all that really is. You're not separated from it, and neither is anybody or anything else. But it doesn't stop there, because from there we participate in the dance, and from Yom Kippur we dance our way into the Sukkot. And we step back and we realize that even when we're coming, it's a very beautiful moment. As much as there's a tremendous, the release that comes when you're drawn into that one, which is ultimately the only one. There's also, if you're dancing, there's something beautiful about the withdrawal. And I remember when I first went to Israel and I'd go to the wall, and one thing that would really strike me, I would see the way people, when they come to the holy wall, I mean by the wall that represents the remnant of the holy temple. But when people go to that wall, which is considered the most sacred place, and they say their prayers there, when you finish your prayers there at that sacred wall, you don't turn around and just walk away. You back away from it. It's just like in that dance, because you're still in the dance, you're still connected to it. And so when we come to Sukkot, we're backing away, so to speak, from that state of complete absorption in what is ultimately true, and we're coming back to the embodied state of being present in the realm of manifestation with all its diversity, and yet we're recognizing that it's all still connected to that one. And so the mystery and the goal of Sukkot is how to bring it all together, how to express the one within the realm of manifestation itself. And this process is, in large measure, performed through the power ritual that is called taking the lulav, the power ritual of the four species, which I want to display here, and hopefully Reb Zalman is going to take care of the power work itself for us. So I have here the four species, and it's very funny what you get. These four species represent the totality of manifestation itself, represented by four items, four elements from the natural world. So you have this special fruit which looks like a funny lemon and actually smells quite good. And which is called, what is it called? Citron, I think. And citron.
Citrus medica.
Thank you, Reb Zalman. And in Hebrew called an etrog. That is one, which I'm holding in this particular hand for a specific reason. And in the other hand, I have these three other items. One being in the center, I have a date palm. And on the right of the date palm, I have some willow branches. And on the left of the date palm, I have some myrtle leaves. I actually have two willows, and I have three branches with myrtle leaves on them. And symbolically, these, in a certain kind of a way, represent the unification of all that exists. And there's a very, I'm going to try to just explain a little bit of what these things are. Because for those of you who are a little familiar, say, with Jewish mysticism and so forth, you might automatically think of a few things that come in fours, like the four worlds, for example. And even prior maybe to thinking of the four worlds being a way to understand the various elements that make up human experience itself, meaning three of ordinary experience, one being the world of action, the world of physical action, another being the affect world, the world of feeling and emotion, and another world being the, you would say, mental world, the world of thoughts and concepts. And then we posit that there is a world that is beyond those three worlds, which we could call the spiritual world, or the world which serves as the source, where the root elements that we are channeling into the realm of manifestation through the celebration of the Sukkot during these particular days, where those elements in their essence are located, we could call the spiritual or highest world, that, or the deepest level of consciousness, which we try to align ourselves with in order to draw those energies into the most manifest levels of existence. And those four worlds are represented by these four items. And those four worlds are also represented by the four letters of the holy name. And you might want to know at this point, well, how is that so? I mean, that's very interesting, but how exactly are these things? What does each represent? So it is like this, that, and basically in the ceremony, in the ritual, when you do the Arba Minim, you're combining these two, the three that I have here bound together with this one that is kind of separate. You bring them together and you wave them in all six directions. meaning one direction, another direction, right, left, front, back, up, down, for example. And there are different orders that different schools use, but you have to do it in all 6 directions because you need to bring down the oneness that is always already existing in the spiritual world into the realm of manifestation, into this very world. You have to draw that down, and you have to draw it down in every one of the 6 directions. So in order to draw down the unity, you have to unite, you have to put all these 4 together. You have to integrate them and draw them into your heart. Now, the 3 that I have here with the lulav is the spine of these palm leaves, and on the right I have the willow branches. The willow branches represent actually the highest world, according to the tradition of Isaac Luria in the Pri Etz Chaim. The willow branches represent, the myrtle represents the myrtle represents the highest, because you have three of them, and the 3 of them represent the letters of the word. The letter Yud itself, when it's spelled out, has 3 letters, and so you have 3 of these stems, and they channel or connect us with the quality of Chachma. Let's say Chachma meaning you could say the seed of wisdom itself, where everything is united already, but not expressed in any kind of differentiation. And then the willows represent the quality of Bina, which technically means understanding in Hebrew, but it's that quality that takes the seed of wisdom and it separates it into all of its potential elements. So where differentiation starts to come out and manifest itself from the seed of all that is true and real, that's represented by the willow branches, because willow branches are called Arvei HaNachal, and Nachal, which means stream, is associated with that Sfira Bina, which is called the Nachal Novea Makor Chachma, the flowing stream that is the source of wisdom, that draws wisdom down into the realm of manifestation. And then when it comes to drawing down, you need something very long that can connect from above to below, and that's the spine. That's the spine of the lulav. So you have actually in this very powerful, this very organic and yet very powerful ritual item, we have here symbolically elements that enable us to connect to the highest levels of all that exists, and to bring through the power of the spine of these branches, those high energies into the heart. So that leaves us with the etrog itself, which is often likened to the heart. And what the etrog really represents in this integrated system is our world itself. This is our poor world itself, is this etrog. And I was, actually, I have to say, and I don't say this with any disrespect to what we're doing here today, but the etrog is called the Pri Etz Hadar. It's supposed to be a very beautiful fruit. And I got my etrog this year from I won't mention the place in New York. I ordered this etrog, and I have to say it's not the.
You can show another one. Here.
It is, but what I realized, but I'm going to take. Thank you. I'm going to take a beautiful one, but I want to say, thank you. But I want to say that when I saw the etrog that they sent me, I knew that it was part of the hashgacha. It was part of divine providence itself, that they sent me an etrog that was in a lot of trouble. Because that etrog they sent, that's a replica, that is a symbolic replica of the state of our world right now. And so I have this tremendous feeling that this Sukkot is especially auspicious and important because our poor etrog, our poor world, needs to be connected to these higher energies. We need to bring it all together and draw everything that is connected above. And remember that what we learned from Aaron the High Priest is that when we do the connecting, it can only happen if you bring down the chasadim. You have to bring down the love energies. That is what our world is lacking. That's why our etrog is suffering. Because this world here below is not connected to the power, to the forgiving, compassionate power of the chesed energies, which is the root that enables all of manifestation to come into existence in the first place. So it's incumbent upon us today to do as powerful a ritual as we can, to bring down as far as we can, right here on this earth, in the most embodied way, in the most powerful way, and in the most revealed way, the power of those divine love energies through the ritual of the lulav and the etrog.
Hey, good people. You got to get up and stretch. Go ahead, give a stretch in all 6 directions. I didn't expect so many wonderful people here today. So you take 1 sheet for 2 people. While this is happening, did you see the moon last night? Was it last night? Or did it rain last night? No. Beautiful moon last night. Right. It's in the middle of Ramadan, and it's in the middle of this month that we call Tishri. And that's the Yerach Tanim that Reb Miles was talking about, the strong the month. And when you see, it's also close to the equinox. So when you take a look at our calendar, you notice that at the full moon of the autumnal equinox is when we celebrate Passover. At the full moon of the the other way around. The vernal equinox, we celebrate Passover. The full moon of the autumnal equinox, we celebrate Sukkot. So that means that there is balance, equinox. Full moon, it's a good sign at this point. There's something strong that's coming down. So, when you will see these words after the sheets have been passed around, you will notice that we are dealing with issues having to do with the ecology. As Reb Miles was mentioning before, Sukkot was a time in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem when people were praying especially for the 70 nations. When you say 70 nations, you mean for all the nations of the world. So most of the time people see us that we are not concerned about any other group or any other religion or any other people than ourselves, and that's not true because we offered these sacrifices for the 70 nations of the world. Now, it's also the prayer for rain. Now, I don't think they need any right now in Florida, but despite the fact that we've had some rain, we could use some more, because if you've looked up at the Gross reservoir, you see that the water is still quite low, and we have been in a series of droughts here. And so to pray for rain to come down is a very important part, but we don't want it to come down too fast. The other day was such a nice drizzle. Do you remember that drizzle? Okay. Some people would say it's miserable weather. You know, they should take it to what is it, to Seattle or someplace like that. But it was very, very good. This is the right kind of rain that goes into the ground, and that is a blessing. So we want to bring down blessings, and as Reb Miles pointed out, we have gone all the way up to the top, and now the point is to bring it down. There was a time when we were trying to put together a thing here at Naropa that was going to be dealing with engaged spirituality. And that was a very important part, because, you know, most of the time when people talk about gate, parasam gate, what is that? God, right? Or when we talk about, we bring in religious teachings, we always try and take the most distillate of distillate. You know what I call that? That's the crack of religion. Because it's so refined, you know, and it doesn't have enough earth to it. And what we are interested in is not only how to bring it up, how to raise it up, but also how to bring it down so it'll make a difference here. What we see now is that we are in dire need of bringing those wonderful things. People talk about family values, the value of life, how you have to protect life, and then they shoot people in Iraq, you know. I think what we now need to do is start bringing these things down. And this next ritual that we're going to do is a bringing down ritual. I was in Rio when they had that wonderful meeting of the summit about the ecology. And there, they were giving me 6 minutes to do a Jewish thing. The Dalai Lama got 20 minutes. And everybody else got 6 minutes, so do something in 6 minutes. So I knew if all you can say in 6 minutes is a bunch of platitudes. So I asked for help from the great priest beyond to bring down the blessings. And he was talking about Aaron the priest who was bringing down the blessings here. And asked that he should assist me in doing things. And I wore my special robe, and I took the lulav and the etrog, and I invited all the people to chant with me a chant, and I'll tell it to you when we get there. What I'd like us to do after we read this and get acquainted with what's here is we're going to make a circle. And I'd like you to line up according to your birth dates, so that each person will be, at this point, in the month, forget the years now, but in the month in which you were born. So that, for instance, the October people, let's say, are going to start, and the people who are in November will go to the left of them, and the people who are in September will go to the right until we make the whole circle, so we'll make the zodiac of the year. If you get that, you will see what kind of different harmony there will be when we are the zodiac here. And I sure wish that Congress should be seated that way. Could you imagine, here's a Republican, here's a Democrat, but the two of them are Aquarians. How much more harmony there would be, you know, if they were to sit in this kind of thing. So I'd like us to then line up in that order, and I'll be in the center, and some of you will have the lulav, and we'll pass the lulav and the etrog, and I hold on to mine. And then we will, those of us who have a lulav are going to go in that direction. The others will go like this, in each direction that we're going to turn. And when we have done them in each direction 3 times, Eve is going to sound the shofar, okay? I want you to think of this that you are all going to participate in a shamanic ritual, because that's really what that's about. Because when a religion or a lineage loses the shamanic part of it, it loses the guts. It doesn't have a way of bringing it down, and it's all very airy-fairy. You know, it's like, you sit on the cushion, you have those great, in the middle of, you don't want to think of anything, but here comes the great insight zapping you 5 minutes later you forgot what it was, right? Because it doesn't have a vessel. It doesn't have a vessel into which to go. Moreover, sometimes the mind doesn't know how to wrap itself around what the soul knew at that moment, and that's very important to be able to do that. So how do you do that the next day so that you remember? That's where rituals come in. Some people think that rituals are the ones that prepare you for the moment of encounter with the divine and with spirit. And I believe that rituals are the things that you do after that encounter so that you can bring it down into your everyday thing. So for instance, we were in Egypt. We got out of Egypt. God helped us with this thing. So what do? Each year we bring it back and say, let us re-experience that. Let us bring it down back into our life. So ritual is something that comes to us to bring the high moment of realization down into every situation. Okay, now follow me for a moment and I'll show you on which side I want to get started. See this one over here? I went to Kinko's and I asked them to print them back, you know, and I made them small so we could save trees and all that stuff, you know, because you can't pray for ecology and then throw a lot of stuff away. In fact, I want all these papers back if you don't need them for yourself. If you say, this is going to help me tomorrow in my spirituality, then take it. And if not, give it back to me because I can use it tonight again, okay? All right, here we go. Look how it says, Lord and Redeemer, beside thee there is none to save. This is from the very traditional conservative prayer book, okay? Which is a translation of the Hebrew. And I want you to know that people should see how much ecology is in our prayer book. I was brought low, thou didst save me, God of salvation who delivers, sustain thy lambs, increase the earth's riches, cause to flourish and save each shrub, and condemn not the earth to infertility, rocky flats, but sweeten and save its fruit. Urge on the rain mist that they discharge their showers, and hold not back the clouds. I always get so angry at what's going on here. We got a nice cloudy day, and then it gives us a drizzle and goes away. Just a tiny drizzle, you know? Like marking the territory, but not much more. So I want those rain mists to discharge their showers and not hold back the clouds. Thy opens the hand and says, fine, go look to the next one. O save man and beast, save him whose flesh and spirit and soul, sinew, bone and skin form an image of wondrous frame, beauty akin alas to vanity, and like the beasts that perish, radiance and glorious stature. Renew the face of the earth and cause trees to sprout from the arid soil. Bless the winepress and the corn, vineyards and sycamores upon the fair bounded earth. Grant that the reviving rain send forth the fragrance to make fertile the earth, to nurture the green herbs, to foster the pleasant fruits, to strengthen the buds. You see this kind of language here, they're so together with earth. Send rain upon the tender shoots, let cool water flow, supplementing with the latter rain. Sustain the world which thou hast founded. And this was printed in 1936. Save our earth, suspended in space. I think that's just wonderful to see that here. Now the next one is what we use instead of DDT. Save the earth from the curse, our cattle from sterility, our threshing floor from the locust, our corn from fire, our substance from catastrophe, our feed from destruction. Guard the olives from falling, save the wheat from the grasshopper, protect the granaries from the worm, etc., etc. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. What we are trying to do is to create a situation where the harvest, everything that was brought together, because this is harvest time of the year, that it shouldn't get wasted, it shouldn't get lost. And for this, these prayers and these rituals are involved. Now let's look at the next one. On this side here, same page, for the first day turn, you hear those sevens coming up in the 7 days of creation. The first day, God said, let there be light. The second day, it is sky and water. The third day is the creation of plants. The fourth day is stars and planet. The fifth day is all the egg layers. The sixth day is is human beings. You see it's on the side, the sixth day. Then it goes on for all kinds of mammals and human beings, and then we go for the Sabbath day. The seventh day turn is to let the earth, not turn the page, it's on the left side of that. Sorry, I pasted it up that way. Let the earth rest, let the earth heal, let the earth recover. Think with me just for a moment what this might be like. What would have been in Kansas if they would have had a year in which they could allow the earth to lie fallow. You know, we're goosing up growth all the time by putting in fertilizers and all kinds of things, which are chemicals and not necessarily the bio stuff that is in healthy soil, you see? And so our teachings are that you are to have a sabbatical year when you let the earth rest. That thing of letting the earth rest doesn't happen for people. So we want to pray for that, that even those little bit of times, a good farmer knows that he will let a field rest sometime in order that it should recover its biological power. Now look on the next page, and here we're going to look at the Kol Mevaser Mevaser Ve'omer. On the first side is Hoshana, and I'm going to chant them in Hebrew, and it doesn't matter if you don't understand, because God understands, and all the, if you will, the devas and everything that happens around, they understand this language, and we want them to understand it, okay? It's an apology, really, for how we didn't treat the world right.
And you wrote this part?
Yeah.
I see.
Then the next one says, Kol Mevaser Mevaser Ve'omer. There is a voice that is proclaiming. What is it saying? Moral conscience is stirring, shared concern is calling, land and sea is urging, mother's caring is pleading. Take good care of me, earth saying that, right? Zoologists are demanding, life in all its form is hoping, many species are no longer. Night and day demand we wake up, etc., etc. Okay? So we're going to chant that as we are in that circle.
Can you please tell them that you wrote it in the medieval way and you have your name? Please tell them.
No.
Oh.
You know, that's good enough. All right.
Beautiful.
All right. Next. When you go to hear the prayer for rain, we're going to chant that, and I'm sorry that book was done yet before egalitarian stuff. Because there it says, Lord, for Abram's sake send water, but we're going to say for Abram and Miriam's sake send water, and I'll give you the names that go with it. But just to rehearse once with you. You know that song goes, all my troubles, Lord, soon be over. Do you know that? Well, I'll sing it, you'll see. Remember one who followed thee, as to the sea flows water, thy blessed Son, like tree well set, where rivers met of water. Where he moved, thou was his shield, and fire or field or water, and heaven proved his seed he sowed, wherever flowed a water. Lord, for Abram and Miriam's sake, please send water. Come on, don't sit there like dummies. Open your mouth, sing along. Don't you want the water to come down?
Yeah, just
Not yet. Okay. We're going to do the last one now, just so that you get it. Okay, ready? Remember last the tribes who fled across the bed of water, thy chosen calf, for whom turned sweet the bitter sheet of water. For thee the rays have ever shed their hearts best red like water. Without thy face their spirals whirl, as in a swirl of water. Lord, for Israel and the whole world's sake, please send water. Then I'll say, for thou art the Lord our God, who causes the wind to blow and the rain to descend for a blessing and not for a curse.
Amen.
Loud.
Amen.
For life and not for death.
Amen.
For plenty and not for famine.
Amen.
Okay, you got it. So start lining up over there, and I'm going to get into my coat and do things with you.
Oh, you want us to be? Oh, you want us to organize yourself?
Go according to the order among
End of art. End of art. Okay, early August.
Yeah.
If I wanted to Twilight.
I know. Give a little shake and then pass it on to the next one, okay? Reb Miles, give a shake and pass it on to lulav and esrik to the next one. Okay? And in which direction? Hold on for a moment. We're going clockwise. Okay. East, facing east. The chant is Anna Ya Hoshiana. 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 Face south. Use the rest of your body if you don't have your arms, everything in this direction. Move like so. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Hoshiana Tikya. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Hoshiana. Anaya Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana. We face the center and we reach up. Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana. And down toward the earth now. Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana, Anaya, Hoshiana. Do you remember when the ground was broken for this building here? Who was here when the ground was broken for this building? There were some lamas who had come, and there was a special ceremony being held, and Sakyang was here at that point, and he was doing all these kinds of things that have to do with where Vajrayana brings things down to the ground. And that's really very important, and this is why we are doing this ritual now. And while if you could do the Hebrew, I would have asked you to do it with me in Hebrew. But now we are going to go in the same clockwise, step by step. Take this one for the first turn, and we're going to say the word Hoshana, by the way. You remember where it says Hosanna, Hosanna, you know? Where was it in Godspell?
Jesus Christ Superstar.
Jesus Christ Superstar. Well, Hosanna doesn't necessarily mean yay, great, you know? What it really means is please help. Come to our help. And how was Hosanna translated later on into Greek? Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. So we're going to take a step each time as we say one of these, and we go around slowly, step by step. And we say Hoshana for the sake of the aura of life, etc. Okay, ready? Hoshana. Start for the sake of the aura of life. Hoshana for the sake of the means of life. Hoshana.
Hoshana.
Hoshana for the effulgence of light. Hoshana for the glory of light. Hoshana for the halos of light. Hoshana for the illumination of light. Hoshana for the joys of sight. Again, the shofar. This is a slow beat as we go. All right, next, the second day's turn. Hosanna, for the sake of the karma of separation of sky and water. Hosanna, for the luminosity of the sky. Hosanna, for the majesty of the sky. Hosanna, for the nourishment that comes in the rain from the sky. Hosanna, for the Orient and Occident in the sky. Hosanna, for the purple sunset sky. Hosanna, for the quality and the purity of sky. Hosanna, for the range of the we continue with the alphabet, which is like saying we want to cover the whole thing. Let me tell you this so you get it clearer. Hey, up there, I think it was a glider having fun. In the sky, enjoy, okay. There was a man who was trying to travel to see the Holy Mass of the Baal Shem Tov. And he got stuck on the way in the forest, his wagon broke, and he didn't have a prayer book, and he didn't know what to do. So he said, "Dear God, what can I do? I can't say the prayers, I don't know what they are, but I'm going to say the alphabet over and over and over again, and you put it together." And it turns out that his prayer was the one that really made the difference that year. So that, do you see why we go according to the alphabet? We're going to cover it all, right? So now we are going with the plants. So, Hosanna for the ubiquity of the plants. Hosanna for the variety of the plants. Hosanna for the wellness of the plants. Hosanna from Santa gum trees. Hosanna for yucca plants. Hosanna for zucchinis and zinnias. Hosanna for the aspen trees. Hosanna for the berry bushes. Hosanna for the chlorophyll made by the bees. Hosanna for the day palm. The aspen trees need a lot of help. You know that they are a family, that their roots are connected with each other. And when one of them begins to die, the rest of them also get sick. And there's been more and more of aspen trees that are not doing so well here. So we really want to keep them all in mind. So the key will blow to them. And now we're going to go to the fourth turn, the fourth day, and this time we keep in mind stars, galaxies, dark matter, all these things. Hosanna for the earth and the planet. Hosanna for the faraway stars. Hosanna for the galaxies in space. Hosanna for the horizons in the sky. Hosanna for the infinity of space. Hosanna for the joyous music of the spheres. Hosanna for comets and asteroids. Hosanna for the location of latitude and longitude and the mass. Hosanna for moon around the planet. Hosanna for nodes of the zodiac. This stuff works out in the universe, and you see that there are some people who are wondering, is this intelligent design or not? So I want to say we're all for saying it's intelligent design, but don't you hijack it away from science. Because the more we know, the more we see how intelligent the design is from the way up. It is not intelligent so much that we believe that there is a God outside saying, do this, do that, become this, become that. But inside, there is organization, there is intelligence. All of life has that. So if they would only understand it from the immanent understanding rather than from the transcendent understanding, everybody could agree that there is intelligent design. We now come to the egg layers on the 5th day, the turn. Hoshana for owls and other oviparous life. Hoshana for birches and plovers. Hoshana for quail and quahogs. Hoshana for robins and red snappers. Hoshana for seagulls and swordfish. Hoshana for turtles and turtle doves. Hoshana for univalves, varieties of plankton. Hoshana for waterfalls and whales. Hoshana for yellowtails and tunas. Hoshana. And now the miracle happens. Instead of having eggs that are on the outside, the eggs are now nurtured inside. And the babies are nurtured from breasts. And we are moving into a whole series of different kind of animals, mammals now. And they come after the egg layers in the order of that intelligent design that Darwin also told us about. So we go for the 6 days turn. Hoshana for the sake of zebras and zebras. Hoshana for artworks and armadillos. Hoshana for bears and babies. Hoshana for giraffes and gorillas. Hoshana for Homo sapiens and hominids. Hoshana for instinctual and intelligent life. Hoshana. Now come closer. We're going to make a huddle right here in the center. Just as you are. Closer, closer, closer. The people who are born on odd days of the month come in closer. And the people who are the even days stay farther. Good, here we are. Now, we are doing the 7th one, and this time we are standing and not moving. Hoshana, for the sake of letting the earth rest. Hoshana, for letting the earth recover, heal. Hoshana, for letting the earth recover. Hoshana, for leaving earth in peace. Hoshana, for letting people find their center. Hoshana, for letting people enjoy rest and freedom. Hoshana, for letting children roam. Hoshana, for living the Shabbat in mindfulness. Hoshana, for loving others and ourselves. Hoshana, for letting being do all the doing. Hoshana. And there is a song that you sing at the end, but first you blow. Hoshia et Abecha, if you know it, sing along. Ovarech et nachlatecha. Yoreh, moreh, 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 venase, moreh, venase, mat ha'olam. Hoshia et Abecha. Ovarech et nachlatecha. Oreh, moreh, 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 venase, mat ha'olam. you keep cold Wasser, we own it. Cold Wasser. Moral conscience stirring, shared concern is calling, land and earth is urging, mother's caring is pleading, zoologists are demanding, life in all its forms is hoping, many species are no longer, night and day then we wake up, choosing life we must exist, if we want to heal our world. Young and old all join in chorus. Entities are all integral. Heed the warnings and take action. Callous hearts must shed their hardness. Holy fervor spins our tune. Never more to spoil the earth. Amen. And now, our God and God of our parents, remember one who followed thee, as to the sea flows water, thy blessed Son, like tree well set, where rivers met of water. Wherever he moved, there was a shield and fire, a field or water. And heaven proved his seed he sowed, wherever flowed. And we include Miriam now. Lord, for Abram and Miriam's sake, please send water. Remember one whose hair was three, beneath the tree had water, whose sire was one to do thy will, his life to spill like water. Himself as high in faith could soar, his heart to pour like water. Where earth lay dry, he dug and found, deep underground. Leah is now. Lord, for Leah and Isaac's sake, please send water. This is now Jacob. Remember one his staff who bore from Jordan's shore over water. Here come the Rolling Stones, and roll the stones, his love to tell, from off the well of water. And wrestling higher, a prince of fire and water, hence thy regard him safe to bear, through fire and air and water. Lord, for Jacob and Hannah's sake, please send water. We come to Moses. Remember one whose arms made sedge was thrown from edge of water. Thy shepherd son, who could not sleep before his sheep had water. And when thy flock did likewise burn with thirst and yearn for water, he struck the rock, there gushed a rill, to give their fill of water. This is Moses and Rebekah. Lord, for Moses and Rebekah's sake, please send water. Now we come to Aaron, of whom we heard before. Remember one thy temple priest, who hallowed these with water. Atonement Son, divine tonight, with fivefold rites of water. The law was red, and then afresh he laved his flesh with water. Remote in death, he served his fold that swiftly broke. And now Sarah is included. Lord, for Aaron and Sarah's sake, please send water. Remember that Christ crossed the bed of water. Thy chosen cast, for whom turned sweet the bitter sheet of water. For thee their race has ever shed their heart's best red like water. Without thy face their spirits whirl as in a swirl of water. And the world say, Lord, for Israel's sake, please send water. For thou art the Lord our God, who causes the wind to blow and the rain to descend, for a blessing and not for a curse. Amen. For life and not for death. Amen. For plenty and not for famine. Amen. Are you a Kohen? Anybody who's a Kohen, come into the center. Kohen is from the Aaron line of priests. Turn the lulav over to somebody else. We're going to do Duchen, okay?
There's no other Kohen here?
Nobody else is you're a Kohen? You're a little bit of a Kohen? Come in here. Okay, you're going to spread your hands like this, okay? All right, you close your eyes, and in your heart chamber, put the blessing that you need for this coming year, okay?
Like Spock.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher קדשנו בקדושתו של אהרון וציוונו לברך את עמו ישראל באהבה יברכך אדוני וישמרך יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום שים שלום טובה וברכה שים שלום טובה וברכה Dona nobis pacem. Grant us peace, Lord of peace. Grant us peace. Grant us peace. Shanti Om, Shanti Om, Om Shanti Om, Shanti Om. To all our relations, Amen. Amen. Go back to your to your seats there, and then you're going to get the goodies to eat and to celebrate and whatever else Miles will have in mind.
I just want to make one request, and that is if some of you could help us putting back the chairs afterwards, it would be very beautiful.
That is engaged spirituality. And those of you who don't need those sheets, please leave them on the table. I will need them tonight. Thank you, Mazel Tov. May all what you had hoped and prayed for be fulfilled. May we see this year a good year, and may we see somehow, if we don't get a regime change, at least that the regime should change.